guy and my wife have been having an affair for 9.5 years. She said, you want me to break up with them? That sounds about right. She goes, let's go. So we hopped in the car, went back to his house.
Daniel was outside near the garage eating. When Kimberly brought the Cherokee to a stop, Matthew got out, approached Daniel, and pulled out his gun. Daniel pulled out his own handgun and fired a warning shot. Security camera captured Matthew as he stopped and fired at Daniel multiple times. One bullet struck Daniel in the leg. Matthew rolled down the passenger side window and fired another shot. He returned fire. One of his rounds struck Kimberly in the neck. Daniel emerged on a stretcher. Matthew was taken into custody. Kimberly died at the scene. Judge Sabaw sentenced him to 7 to 15 years for manslaughter, 12 to 40 years for the intent to murder, 2 years each for the 3 felony firearms.
The nigga pulled up. His wife can break up with the nigga she been f***ing on and sucking on for the last 9 years. It can only turn into the way it turned into.
Y'all gotta tap in with TYPK, man. Look that up on YouTube.
TYP the name, you know that this the way of life. I ain't never raped a gang, but I feel like gang tie. I've been really pushing P, put the P in TYP. That nigga gonna be in a rack, can't even light straight through his teeth. Yeah, I made it out the struggle, but the struggle never end. I can't believe I lost my channel. They don't wanna see me win. I ain't tripping off no clouds, just want this chicken for my kin.
Husband doesn't realize his crime was caught on CCTV. If you ain't hit that like and subscribe button, slap the dog shit about yourself, cause that's the first thing you should have did when you clicked on this video. This video right here is for educational purposes only. It's not intended for anything more or less, and we will learn how to move in this type of situation. Let's see what it's hitting for.
In the summer of 2022, 49-year-old Kimberly Malacone was a devoted mother, a dedicated businesswoman, and an active member of the community. And at least on the surface, she and her husband Matthew were happily married. In mid-July, family, friends, and co-workers lavished Kimberly with praise and affection. But sadly, many of these poignant statements ended up in her obituary. Matthew Malacone was eventually arrested and charged with her murder, but ironically, investigators knew that another man had fired the bullet that actually killed her. Before we begin, we would like to express our sincere condolences to the Malacone family for their loss. It's unclear how Kimberly and Matthew met or when they got married, but by 2022 they had been together more than a decade. At that point, they had a beautiful home, a thriving business, and 3 wonderful children. Kimberly had lots of interests, but taking care of her kids was her biggest priority. She was also passionate about helping recovering addicts get clean and sober. She had recently taken up yoga as well. The Malacones lived in Washington Township, Michigan, about 35 miles or 56 kilometers north of downtown Detroit. In many aspects, they were the typical suburban family. But according to Matthew, Kimberly began an affair with a man named Daniel Ganon all the way back in 2013.
This guy and my wife have been having an affair for 9.5 years.
How did this start? Do you have any idea?
For 9 and a
We were in a
half.
bar somewhere on our 40th birthday. And then I found out when she was 43.
Matthew said Kimberly met Daniel at a bar on her 40th birthday. He eventually found out about the affair, but he was under the impression that Kimberly had broken it off and that she and Daniel no longer had any contact with each other. But in the summer of 2022, a friend told Matthew that Kimberly and Daniel were seeing each other once again.
I found out about it 6.5 years ago. And I found out about it again 45 days ago. And I said to her, is it over with? And she said, yes. And I said, well, so how did the last conversation go? How'd you end it? And she didn't. I said, so you didn't end it. So it's the same as last time. You still, it's not ended. You guys didn't break up. So this guy's gonna call you in a month? And she said, you want me to break up with them? I said, that sounds about right. She goes, let's go. So we hopped in the car, went back to his house.
Matthew was understandably upset, and his relationship with his wife became increasingly strained. He repeatedly asked Kimberly if she planned on ending the affair, but she was so non-committal that he eventually realized she had no intention of saying goodbye to her secret lover. By July the 11th, the tension in the Malacone home was so unbearable that Kimberly called her friend, Anne-Marie Delegue, to see if she could offer her some helpful advice. Kimberly told Anne-Marie that she was physically and emotionally exhausted. She also said that Matthew didn't come home the previous night, that he finally showed up around 5 a.m., and she thought he had been smoking crack cocaine. Things came to a head on Tuesday, July the 12th, 2022, when Matthew...
And you wonder why? Because you've been out here cheating and fucking on niggas and coming back home with that dick on your lip. Oh, that's no excuse for him to kill his wife, bro. Because he mad that she been cheating for all this time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give him the right just to shoot her, bro. But, man, you wonder why, though. You know what I'm saying?
You confronted Kimberly about the affair once again. They argued about it for hours, and according to Matthew, they were drinking alcohol, smoking marijuana, and snorting cocaine all day. The combination of raw emotions and controlled substances turned the already tense situation into a powder keg, and by late that afternoon, Kimberly was at her wit's end. To resolve the situation once and for all, she suggested they drive to Daniel's house so Matthew could witness her end the relationship. She also thought his presence would give her much-needed moral support. But it is unclear if they considered the possibility that the situation might spiral out of control.
Bro wanted her to go over there. Bro, just let her have the nigga, bro. Fuck that, bro. Nah, man, I can't. You only gonna hurt yourself in the end, bro. And look, you end up killing her, and now you in prison for the rest of your life. Like, you only gonna hurt yourself in the end, bro. Let her be, bro.
Because they showed up unannounced and in such an inherently confrontational way. Whatever the case, they were finally ready to leave around 8:45 p.m. But Matthew made a fateful decision just before he got into their white Jeep Cherokee. He took a handgun from his gun safe and stuck it down in his waistband. We'll never know if Kimberly knew about the gun, but she got in the driver's seat and Matthew slipped into the passenger seat beside her. It is just speculation, but Kimberly may have decided to drive because she knew Matthew was carrying a weapon. Either way, they arrived at Daniel Giannone's home on North Avenue in Ray Township, around 8 miles or 13 kilometers away, at approximately 9:30 p.m. Kimberly turned left into the driveway and proceeded towards the home that Daniel shared with his fiancée and their kids. At the time, Daniel was outside near the garage eating and cleaning up after an all-day cookout. When Kimberly brought the Cherokee to a stop, Matthew got out, approached Daniel in a threatening manner, and pulled out his gun. They began arguing immediately, and a few seconds later, Daniel pulled out his own handgun and fired a warning shot into the air over Matthew's head.
Warning shot? Nah, man, you put up on my property. What state is this? Did it say? Maybe I missed this. But bro, nah, I don't care what state it is. If I have that bitch, you walk up on me, boy, you're toast, nigga. Ain't no warning shots, nigga. What am I shooting in there? I'm not wasting bullets. You know how expensive bullets are these days? I ain't got no money to waste on no bullets. I'm using them hoes for a specific reason. You know what I'm saying? If I ain't at the range, they go into your ass. You know what I'm saying? But it's simple. You know, I'm not just shooting that bitch in the air on New Year's and No. Hell, it could be a war tomorrow. We done got bombed. That's some more shit. Like, man, what?
Danny! And I said, stop with my wife.
The nigga pulled up to so his girlfriend, his wife can break up with the nigga she been fucking on and sucking on. For the last 9 years, bro. This can only turn into one or two ways, bro. It can only turn into the way it turned into. Somebody end up dead, bro. Just like that one viral video, bro, of the dude. It was a situation like this. The baby daddy had like pulled up to the new boyfriend crib or something like that, and the new boyfriend shot the baby daddy for trying to come get his kid. cause it was his turn to see him, and yeah, bro, shit crazy. It turns out it ain't gonna turn out good, bro. Just let the bitch have the nigga, bro. Like, that's crazy. He pulled up to his house.
No! Get out of here! Danny! I'll blow Danny! Stop! Get out of here! Danny! I'll blow Stop it!
Stay away from my wife!
Stop it! What are you here for?
Stay away from my wife!
I don't even know what the
As Matthew backpedaled away, Daniel ran across the driveway and around the front of the house. Just as he was about to turn the corner, a home security camera near the front door captured Matthew as he stopped, aimed his pistol, and fired at Daniel multiple times as if he was a well-trained soldier or law enforcement officer.
Stop it, man!
One bullet struck Daniel in the leg, but he continued running and eventually got another weapon from a vehicle that was parked in his garage.
Sasha! Ah! Never!
While the shootout was in progress, Daniel's fiancée and children cowered inside the home in sheer terror. Once Daniel had the second weapon, he continued running around the house and eventually ended up back at the front of the garage where the incident had started. At that point, Matthew yelled for Kimberly to get back in the Jeep, and she began backing out of the driveway shortly thereafter.
Who else has a gun here? Get out of here, let's go! Who else has a gun here? Let's go! Now!
Yeah, where's the kid? Where's the kid? Where's the kid?
Get out of here!
By then, it appeared that the gunfight was over, but Matthew rolled down the passenger side window and fired another shot at Daniel just as the Jeep reached the end of the driveway. He returned fire in a fraction of a second, and one of his rounds struck Kimberly in the neck. Daniel's sister, who lived next door, made the 911 call.
Wait, who?
Sister, who lived, and one of his the end of the driveway. He returned fire in a fraction of a second, and one of his rounds struck Kimberly in the neck. Daniel's sister, who lived next door, made the 911 call.
So dude didn't even kill his wife. Dude, technically, that's crazy. What he supposed to do? She technically the getaway driver, making her be a part of that. And got the man. That's crazy, man. Your niggas is crazy, bro. Nah, man. I can't stand a relationship, and that bitch is cheating on me for 9 years, bro. And I'ma go smoke the nigga. Like, nah, bro. That's not my solution. To go smoke that nigga, bro, to make him pull up, make her break up with him, like, nah, man, let her have him, bro. But I get it, you're old, you can't find another woman. You can't, bro, your days are over. I get it, man. That does not justify it, bro. I'm just saying.
Let's go! Now!
Shit.
Now!
And they in the country. They're in the township. So when did he? Oh, okay. So that's how she died. Yeah.
My kids are here.
Man, how you doing?
Right now, somebody just came shooting in my house.
What's the address?
Somebody just North Avenue. The car is... Get it.
End up getting her killed, bro, because of your actions.
I need somebody here right now. Somebody just came shooting in my house.
What's the address?
Somebody just... North Avenue. The car is a white...
Listen, hold on. Listen, North Avenue?
North Avenue.
Who's shooting?
North Avenue. Somebody's shooting the house.
At your... Listen.
Yes.
At your house? Is anyone hit?
I have a kid. I have my brother's hit. I have my kids.
How many people got hit? How many people got hit?
My brother's hit.
Where's he hit at?
In his leg.
Okay, they're still... Okay, listen. Are they inside your house or are they in the white Cherokee?
White Cherokee's pulling out now.
Okay, which way is it
I
going?
got somebody immediately.
Matthew made a frantic second 911 call from the end of the driveway shortly thereafter. He told the operator that a man had just shot his wife and that she was unresponsive and needed an ambulance.
Pull out a gun.
Okay, what is the address?
Niggas don't be thinking, bro.
Okay.
North Avenue just south of 29 miles.
The shootout lasted less than 2 minutes, and police arrived on the scene just minutes after the 911 calls were made. However, they couldn't help Kimberly until the area was secured.
So,
and at that point,
dude is getting charged with manslaughter. And the other dude is getting, Daniel getting charged with manslaughter. Or they might blame it all on, he might not get charged with nothing because he was returning fire. So he might not even get charged with nothing at all. And you might get hit with that manslaughter charge. Even though you didn't actually do it on top of attempted murder. Like, quit playing. Your ass cooked.
know how many gunmen there were or if there was going to be more shooting.
Sheriff Watt! Sheriff Watt! Show your hands! On the ground, on the ground! Face down, on the ground! Face down! Face down!
To make sure there were no more gunmen on the loose, they used a loudspeaker to order everyone out of Daniel's home, as well as the house next door where his parents and sister lived.
He's in the Florida! Right now he's in the Florida! He's supposed to shot it! You need to tapalanca for my boy! I'm his father! He's in the Florida right now! They shot in the leg! That mother... Don't fight it! Lock it up in this here! You know the fence here! What? Yeah, coming over. Why aren't you coming over here? My son is in the floor.
Ma che cazzo vuoi? Dammi la vado di fuori, con mamma.
Sì.
Ma che due?
And I come out with my children?
Damn it, you're going to double my hospital. Picture.
Oh, yeah.
Hands off, hands off. You don't want to know.
Officers began searching and securing the homes as soon as everyone was out. Daniel eventually emerged on a stretcher and Matthew was taken into custody, but sadly, Kimberly died at the scene. When the smoke had finally cleared, investigators began piecing together the series of events which led to the fatal gunfight in a suburban neighborhood on what should have just been another boring Tuesday night. They eventually collected 30 shell casings from 3 different weapons, and unsurprisingly, Daniel's home was riddled with bullet holes. There were still tons of unanswered questions, but investigators got a big break when they realized that the most recent incident was captured on Daniel's home security system. Later, investigators found drugs, drug paraphernalia, and a gun safe full of firearms while searching the home Matthew and Kimberly Malacone once shared. During a multi-hour interview at the police station, Matthew gave the investigator his version of how things played out that night.
Here's the garage. There's I think a couple like cars here, and I think there's another car here, like this. And we pull up. Her and I get out of the car. As soon as I get out of the car, he comes out of the garage like this, like a police officer, right at my face. And I put my hands up. And I say, "Whoa, bro!" I ducked around to the back of this car here. And I pulled my firearm and I started shooting at him. He ran this way. I said, "Kim, get in the car." We got in the car. We were backing out. And he shot my wife.
That's crazy. Even if that's the case, bro, you shouldn't even been on that man's property because I'm sure he already, like, to go over there to have your wife break up with him. Like, really?
When Kim was shot, she fell over to the side. He's shooting at us at this point. I hop from the passenger into the driver, turn it, and it won't go. I got it, and I'm like this, you know? And it won't go. So then finally I put it in park and I get out and I go behind the vehicle, and that's where I called you. I said, stop my wife or something. And as soon as I finished wife, bam. He shot one right, whizzed by my head. Then my wife yells.
This nigga is so cap.
I could see her thinking he's gonna kill her husband. And he looked over, and that's all I needed, man. I got behind that car, I grabbed my firearm, I came over the hood, and I just started shooting. And he scurried towards the front of the house. I didn't go after him. I said, Kim, get in the car, let's go.
He also said that he was glad the incident was captured on camera and that he was no longer angry about his wife's affair and that he didn't go to Daniel's house to start a fight or to shoot him.
Cameras.
Okay, there you go. Beautiful. We got cameras. He's got cameras? Does he?
I can't tell you all that.
Well, I hope he does. You better, you'll look for those, correct?
We gathered all the facts.
Okay, good.
Everybody's got a story, right? To tell.
You could tell this nigga
Here's
is
be honest
cooked,
here for a
bro.
second, Matt. Like, you're pissed.
No.
You weren't mad. Some guy's boinking your wife.
Detective, listen.
And you're not mad about it?
I've known about this for 6.5 years.
Right.
I was mad.
And
now,
you were told it was cut off, right?
No.
And then today you're told it's not cut off.
45 days ago I was told it's not cut off.
He
Nigga
also
said
admitted
45.
that he and Kimberly were drinking alcohol and using drugs that day.
I trusted her. And then that's when we got into the conversation, I guess today. I said, so how did you break it off? Oh, you never broke it off. You haven't seen him since February. You never told him, get lost, stop
No, that's what
contacting
she
me.
told you. She's been seeing him.
We're breaking up. Okay, then and she goes, no. I said, so what? You're just going to wait around for him to call again? Because he'll do that, just like he has been. And she goes, well, that makes sense. She goes, I'll break it off. And I said, all right. She goes, let's go now.
Daniel Giannone wasn't taken into custody or charged with any crime because he, his fiancée, and their children were minding their business on their own property the night the Malacones showed up.
So
Matthew
dude is
pulled out a
married as
gun,
well.
He was well within his rights to protect himself and his family. Matthew was released later that night, and at least initially, it wasn't clear if he'd ever be charged with any crime. But he was arrested a few days later and charged with killing his wife, even though Daniel had fired the bullet that actually killed her. Matthew was also charged with carrying a weapon with unlawful intent, assault with a dangerous weapon, and the attempted murder of 36-year-old Daniel Giannone. If convicted on all the charges, he faced the prospect of spending the rest of his life in prison. Matthew's arraignment was particularly tense because a number of his supporters were sitting just a stone's throw away from Kimberly's distraught loved ones. His attorney told the district court judge Jennifer Andery that he should be released on bail because he had 3 children who needed him more than ever. He also reminded the court that his client had no criminal history and that he was not a threat to the community. But Judge Andery wasn't so sure. According to her, the allegations
I don't think he a threat to community either. He ain't just gonna kill nobody. He ain't gangster. He ain't finna fight nobody or nothing. Like, he ain't doing nothing to nobody. He just got caught in his feelings.
Had been made against Matthew before, and footage of the incident clearly showed that the charges had merit. But perhaps most damningly of all, Judge Andery said that members of the community had reached out to her to let the court know that they would fear for their own safety and the safety of their families if Matthew was released. Unsurprisingly, she ordered Matthew to be held in the Macomb County Jail without bail until the end of his trial. The trial didn't begin until July of 2024, almost 2 full years after Kimberly Malacone's tragic death. Neither Matthew nor his attorneys could deny that he and Kimberly had instigated the shootout that resulted in her death. The only question was whether mitigating circumstances relieved him of culpability. According to Assistant Macomb Prosecutor Steve Fox, Matthew was driven by his mental and emotional states, as well as the drugs and alcohol he had consumed the night before and the day of the incident. In addition, the prosecution intended to show that it wasn't just a crime of passion committed in the heat of the moment. In fact, they claimed Matthew had planned the act and that this proved premeditation. This was the crux of the case because the defense claimed that Matthew was motivated by jealousy and rage, and he had acted hastily and irrationally but without malice or forethought. Another point of contention was whether Kimberly's friend, Anne-Marie Delecki, would be allowed to testify about Matthew's drug use. Unfortunately for the prosecution, Circuit Judge Matthew Sabah ruled that she had no first-hand knowledge of Matthew Malacone's drug use. This made sense because she only knew what Kimberly had told her over the phone. In other words, her testimony would be hearsay. Judge Sabah also ruled that it would be prejudicial to portray Matthew as an inherently bad person just because he used drugs. In addition, the prosecution failed to show a direct link between Matthew and the drugs found in his home, and it was never proven that he was under the influence of a controlled substance the day the alleged crimes were committed. As such, Matthew's alleged drug use was excluded during the trial. This was a big blow to the prosecution because he admitted to drinking and using drugs during his interview after the incident. As was the case with Matthew's arraignment, his trial was attended by family and friends with mixed loyalties. During the 8-day trial, spectators heard every uncomfortable and heartbreaking detail of Matthew and Kimberly's broken marriage, her affair with Daniel Giannone, and the events that ultimately led to her death. In the end, the jury found Matthew guilty of voluntary manslaughter, assault with intent to murder, and 3 additional felony firearm counts. Later, Judge Sabah sentenced him to 7 to 15 years for voluntary manslaughter, 12 to 40 years for assault with the intent to murder, and 2 years each for the 3 felony firearms counts. That said, nearly everyone was surprised when they learned that the sentences would run concurrently. This meant that Matthew could conceivably be released after serving just 12 years. Macomb County Prosecutor Peter J. Lucito and his team were satisfied that Matthew would be punished for his role in his wife's death and that her loved ones would finally get some modicum of closure. That said, they and Kimberly's loved ones thought the sentence was far too light considering the magnitude of the crime. If you found this story compelling, don't...
Man, that's crazy. I think he should have got more time for that or what. Like I said, I knew he was going to get charged with manslaughter because he didn't do it, but he was the reason why it happened. You know what I'm saying? They said that she instigated it, and maybe she did, maybe she didn't. She knew she shouldn't have went over there, especially with the kids. So did they have the kids in the car? Because if they had the kids in the car, y'all really shouldn't have done that. But dude had a whole family and wife over there. Do she even know about this? Like, that's crazy. Y'all just pulled up over there and y'all get in a shootout now. You trying to smoke this nigga? He don't even know. Yeah, he got every right to defend his ground. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy, bro. Like I said, manslaughter, bro, you're not going to get no time like you would for a murder, bro. So... and the other dude is not gonna get charged for this, so that's a sticky situation that she lost her life and ain't nobody getting life for that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's tough, man. It's tough. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. TYP the name. If you made it to the end of this video and you bored, check out this video to the left or check out my music to the right. I just dropped some new shit, so y'all can run that up. But I'll get at y'all on the next one, man. I'm gone. TYP the name.
You know that this the way of life. I ain't never raped a gang, but I feel like gang tie. I've been really pushing P, put the P in TYP, that nigga.